to go into that same route. So, and some of you may have different ideas, like dreams of creating something on your own and being your own boss, like that. So, today's session is all about entrepreneurship, a journey of innovation, courage, creativity, and all. So, this session is for those who dare to dream big and turn their ideas into reality. And we have just the right person to talk and guide you through your entrepreneurial journey. So it's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Arun Surendran, Principal and Strategic Director of Trinity College of Engineering, Trivandrum. A very warm welcome to the session, sir. Yeah, and to introduce the speaker, I welcome Ms. Meena Nair, Vice President and Head of Operations, Learning and Development with Trinity Skillworks. Welcome, ma'am. And I welcome all others who are present here today. I encourage you to speak up, make this an interactive session, and I hope you get maximum knowledge out of the session. So over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Purnima. You introduced that topic very well. So it is good to hear that. So it is my real great privilege, and I'm really indeed really glad to introduce Dr. Arun Surendran to you. I have met Dr. Surendran multiple times, and I have always been quite appreciative of the kind of things, the repertoire of things that he's dabbled in and he continues to do. So to give a formal introduction, he is the strategic director and the principal of Trinity College of Engineering, Trivandrum, where he pioneered faculty of entrepreneurship. So he is the right person, as Purnima said. He holds his master's and PhD in aerospace engineering from Texas A&M University after he completed his BTech in IIT. And while he was at the Texas University, he was awarded the prestigious Ep-25 Outstanding International Student Award, the highest honor which is given by that particular university to any international student. He is also the honorary fellow for robotics for the Kerala Startup Mission and senior fellow of Defense Research and Studies think tank. He is a member for the Kerala Development and Innovative Strategic Councils, that is KDESC, Local Government One Innovation, that is OLOI project. He is the core group member of the Kerala Knowledge Economy Mission. Many of you may have heard it as KKEM. They have a DWMS site, and many of you may be registering or may have already registered there. Uh, he has been a guest faculty at the Kerala Civil Services Academy and the Indian Institute of Space Sciences and Technology. He serves on the advisory board of Innovation by Youth with Disabilities program at National Institute of Speech and Hearing, that is NISH, the Chinmaya Mission Schools, TKM College of Engineering, and the Katakada Industrial Development Council. So he's on the board for all of these. He's also authored in all of this. He's also authored 2 books, The Startup Habit and the Seven C's of Entrepreneurship. He has been instrumental in developing the diploma program on entrepreneurship, specially prepared for the industries department by the Digital University of Kerala. Dr. Arun Surendran is also the director of the Agasthyam International Kalaripayattu and principal investigator for the Indian Knowledge Systems Center for Kalaripayattu and Siddha Tradition, awarded by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. Indeed, a very, very luminary person to have here in our midst. Thank you so much, Dr. Surendran, for accepting our invitation and to be here. Students, just some of you may already be knowing, but just to tell you, SkillActz is this is one of our programs that we try to do for connecting campuses with industry. One of the things that we also do, we have this platform which is for bridging this gap, moving from the campus to corporate. We also have jobs that are available for freshers. So this is one of our programs that we do every month, and I hope many of you have, of course, been here before and will probably join us on every session that we have. So Dr. Surendran, a very, very warm welcome to you. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say on entrepreneurship.
Thank you very much for the very warm introduction, and good evening to everybody. It's great to be here. I think if we can have the slide moved out, then I can see everybody in one window so that we can keep it interactive. It's a very rainy evening, so I think that might have affected the number of people who are trying to join. People may not have been able to get to home. So, very pertinent topic. We live in very exciting times in terms of what artificial intelligence is doing, and those of us who have dabbled at least a little bit in artificial intelligence that is publicly available we do tend to get the feeling that this is something akin to a turning point in the way our civilization operates. So it's kind of like when fire came, when wheel came, when printing press came, when writing was invented, because all of us now have the capability of having a co-pilot who speaks natural language but has access to the entire knowledge created by humanity. Though there are flaws in it and the kind of way in which access is being done, at least in high-tech fields now, co-piloting has become the norm. Every company which is worth anything has created their own co-pilot so that they can very quickly, how rapidly now prototyping happens, because you don't have to sit and read huge manuals. Those things will be taken care of. And today morning, Robin Alex Panikar had put a post about how he used to read business publications and then had to skip the longer ones every day. So now what he does is he feeds them to Notebook LLM, and then evening before going to bed, he gets a nice podcast of everything that he wanted to be presented in male and female voice. So he just has to listen to that and go to bed. So immense possibilities. So in such a scenario, there are two things that are happening. So we need to first, as we get started, we need to figure out, understand who is an entrepreneur or what is entrepreneurship. Why should we do this? Because at least in Kerala, people have a bit of confusion about, is it all about being businessmen, businesswomen? Is it about establishing startup companies and so on? So to put it very simply, an entrepreneur is somebody who creates an enterprise, an entity that makes a difference to the economy of either the local economy or the national economy or something. So wealth creation, job generation, all these things are part of the deal. So you are an initiator of a project at the economic level, and it may be products, it may be service, and so on. So that's what an entrepreneur is. And why should we now think about entrepreneurship? Kerala traditionally has been a job-oriented market. Even the best of the best people who come out of the colleges are going for PSC coaching. They want to get a government job as security. And that again is a lack of awareness, because nobody has recognized how bad the pension scheme has become, how troubled the economy is in terms of government jobs. Somehow that tradition is carrying along. It's about, I think part of the deal is you get a good dowry in marriage, but we have seen how that backfires very badly in recent cases. So things have changed, but unfortunately, it hasn't seeped into the different strata of the society, where people are not recognizing that it's no longer a secure job, that it is no longer a cushy job, where you have to deal with unions, you have to deal with your transfers and issues and so on. So there are very stark realities that are staring at people, including the current ongoing case of the very tragic suicide. So once we recognize this, I think anybody who is reasonably educated will start thinking about what are the other options. And that's where, because artificial intelligence has come in, how much job security do we have in a job which may be doable for an artificial intelligence engine? So this is a very, very powerful question to ask yourself. I'm the principal of an engineering college. So, okay, how relevant will such a position be? Because any kind of dealing with data, signing off on things, checking the veracity of things, all this the machine can do now. And the machine can also teach people good stuff. It can conduct faculty development programs. It can tell the faculty how to do their job better. It can monitor what people are doing, and students can get customized, tailor-made courses so that they can proceed. But so in that case, do we need principals in the future? Do we need teachers in the future? And this question has completed every single job. Therefore, how safe are the so-called safe jobs? So I think Meena and team who work with HR departments should be knowing how, though we have highly inflated placement numbers, not all of them are recruited in the end. Companies change the policy halfway through, because you understand that most of these things can be substituted. You probably need one person where you needed 5 people before, and one person with. So as they say, AI will not take your job. Somebody who knows AI will take your job. So that kind of change has happened. So in that scenario, doesn't it make sense that we at least make ourselves capable of creating an enterprise. Being our own boss, as was mentioned in the introduction, having the freedom and the responsibility to conduct an economic operation, to create something in the society. And now it has become so easy because the very same tools which will take away your jobs can be used by you to create your own enterprise. You don't need a secretary to type out your things. You don't need somebody to check on your appointments and emails. You don't need somebody else to draft things for you. Even legal proceedings, it's getting impacted so quickly. So you have a virtual assistant with you all the time. So that makes creation of an enterprise, running your own enterprise, easy this time. And look at how Indian economy is booming. And this is very specific to India. I always wonder, when all these kids are going abroad to study abroad, they are going to countries which are below our country in terms of economy. So where will the jobs be? It's great to see people playing in the snow and having manicured lawns and houses and so on, but those are all countries which have depended on lower population, which have depended on immigrant labor and so on. But now we have tapped into our human resource potential. So it's the fastest growing economy. It's the third largest economy. So the more jobs, more opportunities will be here. So it's great to go get educated in top ranked universities, but always keep in mind action is going to happen in India. So that consideration needs to be there. And even if when you come back to India, then is entrepreneurship a better option or getting into a job a better option? This thinking has to be clarified. So usually the younger generation, at least as I have seen in my college, they are certainly not keen on having somebody boss them around. They are absolutely unwilling to stick to a 9 to 5 routine, or something like that, which has which boxes them into a cubicle. So it becomes all the more important that if that's the attitude and you are already a digital native, you have control over your social media. Social media affects you more than mainstream media or film or something. In that scenario, wouldn't you naturally explore the option of being your own boss and running your own enterprise and becoming financially secure through your own activity? And if you can get a team of people to do that, and now it is so seamlessly easy to collaborate like we are doing now. This is even 10 years ago, we wouldn't have imagined an online talk where people come in and have discussions. So knowledge sharing has become so easy these days. So with these potential possibilities and the addiction of a salary being more and more people understanding how addictive that can become, and how much, like just like a drug addict, you might panic the moment your salary is withdrawn from you, or there is a threat to it going down, or the greed of it going up. People have to start realizing that we have to adapt to a new kind of system where we're comfortable with our own skills and capabilities to deliver something. And that needs to be the motivation, the self motivation, and it all definitely supports others. Okay, like higher education in India, till now, and we have mind blowing statistics of how from year 2000 onwards, every single day our country has opened 4.5 colleges. Every single day, including Sunday, 4.5 colleges every single day India has opened. Still, we haven't reached 30% gross enrollment ratio in higher education. So when you are getting higher education, two other Indians are standing outside. So we have a responsibility to give them a job. And such enterprises we can create. So like we put up in our college, Trinity College, we have boards everywhere which says be a job creator, not a job seeker. Because you already have a BTech with you. You have gone through professional education. And this is possible for every single stream of education that we choose. So with that introduction about why this is important, and why don't people do this, that also I must say. One thing is, obviously we still have the illusion of government job being better or a high paying private job being better. The other thing, the usual excuses of why people don't start up. And we have this very bad culture of inviting people who are not entrepreneurs to talk about entrepreneurship. The reason I'm here is not because I have created some courses or I'm a principal of a college. The reason I'm here is I have failed enterprises, I have successful enterprises. So I'm speaking from experience, not academically about writing a book. And I'm not going to tell you that there will be 100% success. I'm going to tell you there will be 90% failure. in your first attempt. That's why we called our first book, which I wrote along with Dr. KCC Nair sir, who was the father of the Technopark TBI, which went on to become Kerala Startup Mission. That's why we called it the startup habit, because once you get into it, you will create more and more enterprises. Naturally, it becomes a way of life, how you look at a project. So when inexperienced people come, they give out all sorts of ideas to people about why it might be dangerous to start up or why it might be too easy to start up. One of the things that most of the kids talk about is we don't have an idea. And the answer is it's never about the idea when it comes to success in an entrepreneurship. There is nothing called an earth shattering idea. So, for example, Manoj Naik Shyamalan's Sixth Sense was an incredible movie because nobody expected that kind of climax to happen in that movie. Great idea. But then what happened to his career later on, we all know. So you might have a great idea in the beginning, but sustaining it, retaining it. Look at the difference between Ratan Tata and some of the startups which we have seen boom and die. Look at Byju's. Just compare Byju's versus Tata Group. You will see how one is a nation builder, thought leader, industry leader, and the other one was a very quickly growing, and they have no idea. It was kind of a cancerous growth everywhere, and they were not very ethical in their dealings with people. So there is a it's not like because you don't have an idea or the power of an idea is going to change anything. It's the effort that goes into how that idea is brought to fruition. And any idea, if you work behind it, has the potential to become a great enterprise. So first of all, forget about good idea, bad idea, no idea kind of thing. The second thing that people talk about is I have no money. If I had a lot of money, I would have. So anybody who has followed the newspapers for the last at least 5 years in India, money is a commodity now. People are walking around with big balance fund. Every day you will hear about this new venture fund has started, this new angel fund has started. They are willing to give you 5 million, 2 million, 1 million. Government has grants. Startup Mission alone is channelizing 75 up to 75 lakhs, right? I don't think, usually when people come and tell me I don't have money, I ask them how much money do you need, which is a question they don't expect. They just want to give this as an excuse that I don't have money, therefore I'm not doing it. They have never done the second layer of calculation of how much money is it that I need. Because once you calculate that, you will find funding from one thing or the other. And it's literally people want to support good enterprises and, naturally multiply their own wealth, but also support creating new ventures, which they can be proud of in the later years of their life. So that's the second one. And third one is usually a lack of awareness. They have no idea that such an ecosystem exists. People are creating companies, and then there are lackluster people who don't have the depth. Very shallow people who are involved in this field who just go around giving speeches but never creating companies. They are the startup superstars. All they do is market the ecosystem without ever building an enterprise. So these factors influence how people make their decisions. And for me, I think the biggest reason people shy away is because once you get closer, you understand that there are two things. The big HD things that you need. One is health. You need to be very, very careful about your health because you are going to create an enterprise. Other people are going to depend on you, not just your clients or suppliers. You are going to provide jobs. So you should have the capacity to work mentally, physically, spiritually at your peak. So the health demand on an entrepreneur. It's very easy to say I need 24 cups of coffee and there is ecstasy and terror are the moods and so on. But those are all excuses for not taking care of your health. So a good entrepreneur is always a healthy entrepreneur, and this is one of the easiest way to screen off companies who don't want to fund. When you go in and see if very unhealthy entrepreneur comes in requesting for funding, there is a breakdown coming down the lane. So that's one. That second is discipline. And that's also very difficult because at a young age, when you start, all you see is the glitz and the glamour and thing. Nobody wants to look at the effort that goes into very disciplined approach. Months of having no weekends, no holidays, nothing, being focused on that thing. So health and discipline is what really scares people off. It's not ideas, money, or something. Those are standard excuse. You have to be so disciplined because you don't know if the opportunity is going to come on a Friday night, right? At any point of time, when an opportunity arises, you have to be at your peak performance to go and deliver. So, and then you are the face of your enterprise. So everybody looks up to how you behave. What kind of leeway can you give yourself in terms of how you behave? So health and discipline for me are much more significant factors. So now I'll use the next 15 minutes or so to quickly summarize what is the main topic, which is how to be an entrepreneur. And I'll take it from my book itself, because 7 C's are very easy to remember. C, 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 which are the 7 C's, and they are the steps, the 7 C's that you have to think about. The first C is curation. Okay? You have to curate. What do you have to curate? Because every single day, every newspaper, every Keshavan Maman coming to your house will talk about a business. They will say somebody has made it big like this, or somebody lost money on that. Newspaper will talk about this fellow getting funding, that company becoming this award winning, and how they are going to the next level. So you will have everything from banana cultivation all the way to SpaceX coming your way. How do you decide? How do you curate this entire gamut to see what is it that I can work on? What fuels my passion? What will make me continue for years down the lane? What will not defeat me when there are setbacks? Where is your love lying in this? So that curation is very important. Otherwise, everybody ends up starting blockchain company. Everybody will end up starting AI company now. These are coming because you are going with the flow. You have not clearly sat down and curated. So in my case, see, my fundamental love is being on a campus and talking to youngsters. So every 4 years, there is a churn of population and new batch comes in, new ideas, new culture. Once I love the campus because it gives you a lot of freedom to try things where breaking things and falling off are completely acceptable, which is not true in a real world business situation. So that's what keeps me on a campus. That kind of love and passion, which I understood, it took years to understand. This is what I really want to do. So such things take time. So you have to curate very carefully. You'll make mistakes along the way, and you have to see, curation is a good habit to have, because you'll have to curate your teammates, you have to curate your employees, you have to curate your suppliers. Because everybody offers very dazzling things. How do you pick the right people to come? So picking that idea, what to work on, where to set it up. For example, VK Matthews recently said, no, IBS, his best decision was to set it up in Trivandrum. But now he has gone and set up a football team in Kozhikode. So he's back there. So he's, again, best decision to run a football team in Kozhikode. So where to set things up, how to do these things. So this is what curation is all about. And that matters about how you communicate, who are the people you talk to, and things like that. So you have to curate your mentors, you have to curate your supporters and advisors and so on. So it's a habit that you should cultivate. So that's my first C. How do you get to that idea of where and what to do? And then the second most important thing, and this is the C without which nothing will work, and this is the most ignored C. It is client or customer. Who is the person who will take money out of his hard-earned money from his or her pocket and give for your product or service? Who will transfer that money to you? Who are these people? Very, very, and without client, don't do it. Sometimes the government of India, government of Kerala, United Nations might be your client. Whoever is paying you, because they may then supply it for free, subsidize it. But somebody should be there who will provide you this cash flow channel, financial channel. And here again, you have to be very careful. We are always talking about the financial decision makers. Okay, they are the clients. Who is the client of Kinder Joy? Everybody will say it's the kids. Who is the client of Toys R Us? Kids. It's not kids. It's the parents. The parents are the ones who decide to buy Kinder Joy. The kid can cry, and your advertising works very well if you make the kid cry for it. But the decision comes, so you have to ensure that parents are also happy with your product. We have sat in my own experience, we will sit through in very long meetings explaining our hearts out, convincing this one fellow, and then he will say, I have to ask my wife, or I have to ask my manager, which means the decision making is lying elsewhere. So we have wasted our time. So always find out who is the client. Very, very important that this person should be convinced. And without a client, please don't start. Okay? Because see, I always share this experience. Many years ago, a student project team approached me from one of the reputed colleges. They said they have a brilliant idea. And then they said they can't share it with me. So then I said, how can I advise you if you won't share the idea? Then they said, no, we'll give you a non-disclosure agreement and everything. Their idea was to design and create a scooter for people who don't have both hands, both arms. Okay. So I asked them, how many such people do you know? They didn't know anybody. Then I asked them, do you know if such people will be given license by the motor vehicle department? Then they said, we don't know if they'll be given. And I said, do you think such people are interested in having a scooter and going around in a scooter without? So they had no idea. So then I asked, why did you come up with this idea? They said, because when we said this idea, our parents said it is such a nice charitable idea. You are supporting such people, and our teachers also said it's a great idea. They never went and talked to a person with disability who is directly, and the other kind is the motor vehicle department, which is involved very deeply in this project. So without talking, you can't. A similar other example I can share with you is we have this idea day where startups can come and present to the different government departments. So I was in police department. One team had come. They had made a rape prevention jacket. So they were asked by the, I think, commissioner or ADCP was asking them, how many women have you talked to? They have not talked to any woman. They have decided that all women will wear a rape prevention jacket. So what does the jacket do? If there is a force on the body, it sends an alert to the police station. So I think Manoj Abraham sir was there. He was asking, so what if she comes home, she's a mother, and the child comes running and hugs her? They said, yeah, then the alarm will ring. So he said, see, that is not good. Oh, it's not good. So how do you overcome this? Then they said, sir, if it is in the house area, then we'll stop the alarm. So the assumption is at home, no assault can happen. See, these are all issues which comes. When Nirbhaya case was happening, even in my college, all these elder brothers and chetans who want to protect their sisters, they designed this handbag which will always be in the location of the woman. So they came, mechanical and electronics boys. I said, have you gone and talked to any of your sisters you are trying to support? No, sir. They said, go and talk to them and then come back. They went after half an hour, they came back fully depressed. They said, nobody wants this. None of the girls want to beam their location 24/7 to somebody else. So I said, see, you have asked the wrong client. Don't try selling this to the girls. They're not interested. Who will you sell this to? Then that idea. Sir, we'll go talk to their parents. We'll go talk to their husbands, boyfriends. They might be interested in this idea. So there again, this client thing matters, right? You have to talk to them. So that is the second thing. So once you know what's the idea you're going to work on, and who is your potential client who will end up being, and you also have to decide which is the market I'll attack first. Am I going to introduce this in Tambanur area? Am I going to talk to this in Rio de Janeiro? Would we first talk only to dentists, or are we going to talk to all the doctors? Such things. How do you penetrate the market initially? Once you have that, then please sit down and develop a concept so that in 2 minutes, within 3-4 sentences, you are able to explain what exactly your business does to anybody. Don't complicate this matter. You have to get that kind of clarity. And this is where all these tools like business canvas and all these things help. You have to know very clearly who is supplying me, who am I supplying to, what is it that I am creating, what is it that I won't do, who are the people who will benefit from this, exactly what problem, what pain point I am solving. Once you have this concept, then you are halfway done actually. Even before registering the company, I know friends who waste a lot of time designing logo, name, without having any clarity. People dime a dozen coffee shops and boutiques, no, these days everywhere. You go in Kerala, new coffee shop, beautiful names, beautiful logo, but they have never thought of how to differentiate themselves in the market. So again, after at the end of 1 year, when they are finished with the cash, they wind up. So this is important. Your concept and how it will stand out. This you have to explain to anybody. And which is my next C, which is consult. Once you have the concept ready, talk to the maid who comes to your house all the way up to Startup Mission CEO. Never think secretly because somebody might steal my idea. That is a misunderstanding that comes because of the way we copy in exams. people think this is some kind of an examination where if you cover up and write, then otherwise somebody will copy my answer, or because you go for this pitching contest where your PPT can be copied by somebody else and they may win the pitching contest. But in real world business entrepreneurship, if you have an idea, it is your idea. It's very, very difficult for somebody to steal and copy. They'll create something else, which might be very similar, but it will never be the same thing. And so, but why is it important to talk to people? Because just like I said, the people without arms, unless you talk to people, they won't be able to tell you why this won't work or what are the potential flaws. Because see, the chechi who comes to your house might be aware of something which is selling for dirt cheap, which is the same thing that you are creating for a different market. So you might get help from any corner. Talk to as many different. So consulting, that is one kind where you go and talk to mentors and advisors and seniors in the same field about the concept. At the same time, you'll also talk to company secretaries, to accountants, to chartered accountants, other providers, marketing officers, digital marketing people. Talk to those people, consult with them how good your concept is and where all they can contribute. Only after you have finished this consulting, you come back and create your company, create your product, create your enterprise. So that is only in the fifth step, this creation. Usually people get everything wrong that they create in the beginning, set up a company, and then start thinking about what all the services to do. So till then, don't do, because at any point in these four steps, you might understand this is not going to work, or you might want to pivot at that time or make a variation. So there, sit and create a proper entity. Make sure that all the legal things are taken care of. Don't do any kind of shady business or cutting corners there, because eventually ED will come for you no matter what you do. So please be always set it. I mean, make sure that you have a brilliant accountant or an accounting firm that is supporting you. Even if you have to pay extra money for that, you should have a good company secretary. You should have a good legal team that supports you. You don't have to hire all these people. The good thing is, we are now in lean entrepreneurship where only the entrepreneur is enough. Everything else can be service provided by other people. How do you get the best of those people to cooperate with you? Including receptionist can now be online. AI voice can do it for you. So you have to reduce. You can reduce and keep it very lean in the beginning, and then start going. Also think about, where am I locating? Can I take local people? Will international people come to me? Can they collaborate from across remotely? These things. Should they all move to Kerala and so on? So wonderfully, we can have such a well coordinated, uh, created company or product once the concept is clear and we create it. Then what do we do? Again, we go back out to those potential clients who we had seen and tell them, see, this is what I made. This is my product, this is my service. And that's where the next C, which is to customize. They will tell you what are the tweaks that are required, which you won't know because you may not be yourself a client, right? So the customization becomes very, very important. So this is kind of like a breathe in, breathe out business, because curation is something which we do internally ourselves. Then we go find out outside who are the clients. Then we come back in and work on the concept. Then we go back out to do the consulting. Then we come back in to create. Then we take it out again for customizing. So there's a back and that needs to happen seamlessly. And this is throughout the life of the company, not just in the startup stage. Every time you make a change to the service or you think of adding something new to the portfolio, do all these steps. They're very, very important. So once you have customized, you finally have something ready, then you will realize that there is a lot of market competition. So competing is the next. And competition philosophy is something you have to develop. What are you trying to be? Do you want to be number one in terms of sales, or do you just want to be known as the best of the best to a few clientele that you do? Do you want to be the richest businessman, businesswoman, or do you want to be the most approachable business guy here? So, what is your competition philosophy? Because otherwise, that itself becomes the biggest stress for you. Somebody else has a market size bigger, they might be coming to swallow you and things like that, or you might be trying to acquire other companies. What is your competition? Because you have to compete. So these are the 7 C's. Right? You curate, you find your client, you develop a concept, then you consult with everybody, then you create the company and the product, then you take it out and customize, and then find you are ready to compete in the market. So the 7 C's are there. And then there is always the 8th C, very important C, which is cash. We are not trained to mentally process unsteady cash flow. So I know enough entrepreneurs, startups, even bigger and smaller guys who are very worried towards the end of the month about paying the next month's salary, which means they don't have that runway. They don't know how much cash they should have in hand to do. The successful companies are those who have. Look at Apple. Apple's bank account size is so huge. They can go acquire any other company, and no matter how much the economy takes a downturn, they'll still be around. So that kind of reserve, where which are the payments that you might get, might not get, and then what do you do if it doesn't come in? So cash is king, because the best concept, best product, everything might just stop functioning because you can't pay a salary, or you couldn't pay the electricity bill, or you couldn't pay the rent. You might be the best of the best. So this kind of a cash flow awareness is two things which I keep saying. One is an entrepreneur should be ready to seize opportunity 24/7. So 9 to 5 is not how we work. Maybe your client is sitting in another continent, and for them 1 a.m. might be the good time to have a great conversation. So you should be ready at 1 a.m. to do this. The second thing is this: there is no monthly salary business for us. 6 months we have to work without anything coming in, but at the sixth month probably 2 crores will come, which is better than having a 50,000 rupees per month salary job. So we have to get into the habit of unsteady cash flow. See, a lot of every time we conduct a workshop or something in Trinity, I go out and ask this question: how many of you will work for me if I pay you 20,000 per month? Or I'll sign a deal with you that I'll pay you 6 lakh in a year. End of the year, we don't know, but I'll pay you 6 lakh in a year will be paid. Which do you prefer? They all prefer this 20,000 per month, which is huge savings for a company like me. But they don't understand, because they think, oh, what will my parents say? There is that legal worry. What if this fellow goes away? That the entrepreneur shouldn't have. He should be aware of how this unsteady cash flow. These are the main things which I wanted to convey. I hope you get a brief, framework in which to think about how to become an entrepreneur. Okay, thank you.
Purnima, did you get any questions from anyone? Did anybody send in some questions? Today, strangely, we have a small group. Usually, we have quite a big number.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, Purnima.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
No questions yet, actually.
Okay. Anybody?
Okay. I have a question, Arun.
Okay.
You talked about entrepreneurship actually wonderful. Your talk was really wonderful.
Thank you.
As I said, I had to leave, but I have stayed just to listen what you have to say. So, in your experience with dealing with students, you're talking to many students. Entrepreneurship, is that something which can be trained? Is that a skill that can be trained? And how will you train yourself to become an entrepreneur?
Yes, it is another skill. Just like creativity is. I mean, we think our society somehow is geared towards presenting people as born geniuses. We have the idea star singer, and then we tell them. But what happens to these people in future? We never check. So we don't have that growth mindset. We are all stuck on, okay, I have this talent, and therefore I'm entitled to success. Everything for me is a skill. You can acquire it. There'll be a way to acquire it. So how do we do this? Again, just like creativity, we have to play with the ideas. You can't theorize, study, and get into this. You have to have the freedom and have to get an environment where you can play with the idea, so that you become more knowledgeable without fearing the risk. And that colleges and incubation centers can provide, where, like I said, this kind of training, for example, KLE Tech in Hubli, Ashok Shettar starts one of the most successful entrepreneurship campus, and he is actually the pioneer of faculty entrepreneurship. I'm only talking in Kerala. They are now, I think, 300 crores worth companies which faculty have created within campus. What does he do when students come in? He gives everybody 2,000 rupees, and then say, okay, go ahead and multiply this and see what you can do with this. So there is a funnel that happens. You will understand who are the people who have some kind of a knack for doing this. And then those guys are naturally inclined towards coming towards it. And the other people who couldn't get started initially, they learn from the group which did it. And it's all like a gamified thing. So we have to think about what are the small risk experiences that we can take so that we learn the ropes. Main thing is, how do I communicate to somebody? Can I actually sell something? Can I motivate a team to work on something? How deep can I go into something? Are my hunches correct? This is very easy, these days. If we can say, okay, can I predict something? Okay, in 3 months down the lane, this might happen in this technology, and then check yourself, did that happen? So where did your prediction go wrong? How did you anticipate wrong? So all these things, which are the confidence itself, is confidence a skill? I think confidence is a skill, because none of us are born, all of us are born super confident, so somehow we lose it along the way, and then we have to go back and gain it, right? So that again is a skill. So
Question it on.
each of these aspects we can actually, so it is a skill, it is trainable, which is why unexpected people come into this. No, earlier it used to be that hereditarily they are a business family and therefore they become business, but now most of the business families, the kids are going on to become doctors and engineers, and they are getting into professions comfortably. But people who have no background, look at Jack Ma, no? Professor turning into an entrepreneur. He couldn't get job in KFC. He creates Alibaba. So Colonel Sanders, KFC. He also, Colonel who after retirement. So these things are. It's just that focus, and like I said, the health and discipline aspect becomes very important. We got one question, I think.
Yeah, one question.
If I join startup as an employee, how can I make most of the experience? Yeah. Oh, first of all, please be Anand. Tell the startup that you intend to be a startup creator later on, so that they are aware that you are here as a learner but a total contributor into this. Otherwise, it always feels very bad when somebody who is there in the initial stage leaves, because the founders expect people to stay. Be very upfront about it, and then try to learn as many different aspects as possible. See, these are lessons we can learn from uh, the daily wage workers we have around us. Okay, they become proficient in so many different things as they go along. Imagine a guy who comes as a helper to a painter. This painter guy might be running the contract, but this guy will come in as a helper. His first job will only be cleaning. They won't even give him a brush. Then he will get a varnishing job, or the peeling of job or something. So these skills, every different aspect. So make sure you spend your time gaining this. And my favorite example here is Abraham Joseph sir, who runs our Fresh to Home. So what? See, he is a man in love with fish, a kind of passion, and he is very proud of saying, if I go from Calcutta along the coast of India all the way to Gujarat, every single beach, if I get down, there'll be somebody who will call my name and come, because that's the kind of relations he has built with fishermen everywhere. So, but his family did not allow him to get into this business first. So he became an accountant. He got his BCom, MCom, and then what did he do? He became an accountant in a fishery company. So till 5 o'clock he'll work as an accountant. Then immediately he'll go to the godown, to the freezer, to the place, and there he learned how 64, 65 varieties of fish are cut, which are the way of fillet, how to check the freshness, where does this fish come from, how does it taste. So the man studied. See, he is part of a business. So just like that, when you get into a startup, you can spend time on every aspect: sales, marketing, finance, operations, technology, execution. Think about what are the experiences that and he, again, going back to Fresh to Home, uh, he had so many setbacks. So he was trying to sell only to the Gulf. Then there was a crisis in the Gulf, so the business backfired. Then his wife asked him, "Why are you selling so much when we all love fish here in India?" That was his trigger for, okay, let's stick to the Indian market. Let's see what happens. And then he set up an online company with no background in IT. And so that's, he said, "I have no idea what a server means, but we did things, and then the server crashed and the business failed." But before that, they had managed to create a dedicated group of clients in Bangalore who loved this service, and then they wondered where this had gone. And one of the guys who loved the fish from Fresh to Home called him and said, "Would you like to partner? I am an IT guy." And that's the Fresh to Home that we know now. So you discover partnerships along the way. Maybe one of the clients that you go and meet might become your potential partner. So ensure that you spend time on all this. I hope that helped.
Don't see any other question there. Something else is there, the far. So I have another question. You mentioned a little bit about risk. So
Yes.
obviously, an entrepreneur is a person who is willing to take quite a bit of risk, right? Because
Yes.
especially if you're coming from a family where there is no uh, background of business or doing anything new like that.
Yes.
Our educational system is such that from the very beginning, and our homes are such that we are totally conditioned to do only, usually we just follow like the herd, right? The herd
Yeah.
mentality, and we're doing it. Plus we are always conditioned to uh, not lose. We should not lose, we have to win. So how does that then make it easy for students to think of entrepreneurship? The
Yes.
second part is, from my understanding from many people whom I've spoken with, they say for every 100 startups which are there, there'll be only one which may survive after
Yeah.
a few years. So what are these two questions, if you could answer?
Yes. Uh, I'm reading a book called Wicked Problems, Engineering for a Better Future by Guru Madhavan. He has a beautiful term called aerosol words. Okay, these are the vague words, aerosol types, which are very big, which don't mean much. Risk is one such word. So if you ask somebody to quantify that risk, and we have numerous methods now to mathematically quantify risk, and if not getting into deep mathematics, okay, you are going to take a risk. So if I ask you how much is the risk, you can at least say I'm going to risk 2 lakh rupees or 25,000 rupees or 6 months of my career, right? If you can quantify, people don't quantify that. They are simply saying the risk as this very vague, huge, demonic figure which they don't know. But if you start looking at it closely, it becomes reduced to something that you can handle, and you become disciplined about how much risk you are going to take. That's one. The second is, I always ask people, how will you value this risk versus your regret in future for not having taken this risk? All of us have these family members who tell us how they sold land in medical college area, in techno park area, where now it has become so much worth we didn't know. What will we tell our grandkids? What will they ask us? Which are the, why didn't you become an entrepreneur? Why didn't you create this company? If they ask, what is our answer? How much regret will we have when we say somebody who was along with us took a 25,000 rupees car risk and went on to create this? So that risk versus regret, if you don't do this now, or if you don't get into this, how much will you regret it later? So that's my question about, that's how students should start looking at risk. They take so many risks on their bike every day. This is nothing compared to that. With the life, with health, they take so many risks. This is so less compared to that. And second is about this failure rate is very high. It's very high, but that's only a failure if you completely quit entrepreneurship and go away. Most of the successful companies that we know have come as a third attempt or fourth attempt of the entrepreneur. So they don't quit. The good guys, the good people, they stick around. So then the percentage is very less of, so yeah, the first company, I mean, I have at least three spectacular failures, and a couple of them was so solid towards success, except that we had no idea that market was going to change or the new tool was going to come. So nobody knows anything about, and always the luck is a factor for an entrepreneur, but the kind of thing that you learn from this experience, even if you quit, there will be hundreds of companies which will prefer a failed entrepreneur because they would have done responsibly something. They can, create a project and at least run with it, which is a huge skill, huge skill compared to somebody coming fresh out of college. So that's my suggestion about this huge failure rate. We have again created this, fear of failure mentality. Again, from education system only, people don't want to. They think failure means suddenly blood pressure, BP will drop, heart attack will come. So we don't look at something as an attempt. We are afraid to say we want to succeed. First attempt itself, 100% marks, qualified, and things like that. It's like civil service writing. Entrepreneurship is not civil service writing. It's not. We are not supposed to clear an exam. We are creating the syllabus and we are building something along the way. Once you understand the beauty in that, then all these factors will become normalized.
You. Any other questions? I don't think there's anybody else wanting to ask a question right now, at least. So, Purnima?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, so I'll be sharing a Google form link in the chat box. Students can fill in that form for the certificate of participation. Yeah, so good evening once again. So, on behalf of SkillActz and everyone here, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to our speaker, Dr. Arun, for taking time to share your valuable insights on this entrepreneurship with us today. So, I mean, the way you've explained about the skills, the risk factors, also the challenges and rewards of starting and running a business. So everything, I'm sure everyone who are present here today will be leaving with, actionable insights that will help them in their entrepreneur journeys. So once again, thank you so much, sir. And I would also like to thank our Trinity team, Anand sir, Meena ma'am, Sangeeta, Jackson, Arjun, and Sharu for putting this event together and ensuring that everything ran smoothly. And I'm also grateful to all the students and others who are present here today for participating. So thank you once again. Students, please don't forget to fill in this Google form to receive your certificate of participation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arun. Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye.
you. Good night.
Bye.